I just looked at my 40th birthday pictures in December and I was like, oh, who's that?
Oh, wow.
I did not know this was a prolapse. I'll be seeing a physiotherapist to work on my pelvic floor muscle. They kind of grade it between like 0 and 5. 5 should be like the strongest it is. And she basically said to me, you need to train your pelvic floor because you're about 1 out. I need to do something. And then Devin came home with this answer because I was like, are we sure about this one? Because we had tried something else previously.
Oh, really?
I'm thankful to my husband. Doing it together, it's really good because we can understand each other and what demands we have on each other. Picking my son up from school instead of picking him up by car, just things like that, just fitting in steps. I'm a good example now to my kids. Someone said, kids are not very good at listening, but they're very good at imitating and copying. So whenever you think you don't have enough time, you do have time. I didn't even think I could do 2 cardio, 3 weight. Here I am doing 8 workouts a week, fitting it in around 2 kids, work, family and social commitment. I was doing it. I feel a lot more confident in myself. I'm managing my time a lot better. Just seeing my body change, great feeling.
Okay, so Daksha, take me back to about a year ago now, towards the end of 2022. What were the series of moments that led to your trigger moment to wanting to start this journey?
Oh, wow. So my husband, he found out about RNT and he was so excited. He came home saying, right, we're going to do this, because I just turned 40. He was about to turn 40. We always said that's going to be a pivotal moment. This is where we should be at our best, really. And we were like, we're not. And he just thought, this is going to get us there. This is brilliant. Like, this is, and he was so excited about it. And so I sort of heard him out and I wasn't sure, to be honest, on how I felt about it. And I just had more and more questions. So then he set up a call with you. But, the main reasons why I wanted to do it was, just for health reasons, really, just to be at my fittest. I know I had some weight to lose as well. I wanted to feel better. So Devin's come home and he's all excited about something he's found out about and he's read about, and I kind of was really new to it. So I think, and it's not until I spoke to you, Akash, that I really was like, felt like I was sold on it.
What was going through your mind before? Was health on your radar? Was fitness on your radar? Or did this come out of the blue when Devin came home shouting from the rooftops?
Yeah. Girl, you need to lose weight. No. He, it's always been on the radar. Since childhood, I've always been like quite slim compared to like, my peers. And maybe my height helped. I was always called lanky and gangly at school, but then, as I got older, I still kept sort of like a slim, sort of small sort of frame and physique. It's only when, I sort of became more conscious of it when I was at university and, that sort of lifestyle it brings when you're sort of living out of, living outside the house and you're, caring for yourself and partying. Drinking, probably, eating too good. I kind of always ate quite healthy, sort of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's everything outside of that. And I kind of put on some weight. But again, people always said, oh, you look slim. I just thought I've got nothing to worry about. I just wore different clothes that would hide my shape and stuff. And so, I always did some form of exercise, whether it be Pilates, yoga, and I was into Bollywood dancing quite a bit as well, especially when I came back from university and moved back home. And it kind of kept me fit because I'll be rehearsing and other things. I kind of always had that in my life. I always wanted to be fit, look fit. And I guess it was only after Devin and I got married, had my first child and then the second child, lifestyle changes, you kind of wolf down food while your kids are asleep, you kind of lose control on your volume portions and other things. And then, I guess I just looked at my 40th birthday pictures in December and it was a surprise birthday party my husband had planned, which was amazing. Looked back at my photos and I was like, oh, who's that? Like,
Oh wow.
I just thought this. I always thought I would, be looking my best at 14. I was looking back at the photos, and they're all good, well taken photos. So I'm not blaming Devin's cousin. Could have photoshopped it a little bit. But it was, I looked at them and I thought, no, I need to do something. And then Devin came home with this answer, and then I had to dig and find out about it, because I was like, are we sure about this one? Because we had tried something else previously.
Oh, really? So what was the skepticism coming into it? Because I remember you were the one that was the skeptic, and Devin was pretty much sold on it. He kept saying to me, I remember he said to me, you just need to speak to my wife. Like, let's just set up a call with my wife. Like, I'm ready, but I need her approval.
Yeah, I mean...
By the way, that's the same dynamic me and my wife have as well. I'll be super excited about things. I'll be like, oh, we should do this, do that. And then she'll be the one I need to send it to.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to be a killjoy. I just wanted to like make sure it's a big investment, being honest, it's quite a big investment. And I just thought, we need to be sure, on this, because we don't eat badly. I was thinking, we don't eat that badly. We do some sort of exercise, and, we've done a plan before, and we just thought, well, we kind of know what kind of, exercises and stuff we need to do. We just need to do it, right? So, and Devin's like, that's just it. We're not doing it. And it's when I spoke to Yaka, she told me about how it all works, and the cohort and the coaches, and everything else. And I thought the biggest USP was the accountability factor. And that's, whenever I've done any sort of classes, it's been with a teacher in front of me. Like, I'm not the type of person to go to a gym and sort of be self-motivated to find out what exercise I should be doing and doing them, or anything like that. Or, just all working out by myself. I normally need like an instructor or someone to push me and tell me, you're doing this, you're doing it. So I know that is going to work for me. I know that the accountability factor of, having to do my check-ins, showing my sort of, my training videos. Again, I've never done weight training. So I wasn't sure how I felt about that either. I thought, I wanted to be stronger. I know my bone density is going to be, sort of lowering, especially after hitting 40. They all say your bone density starts dropping. And I just thought, that would be really good for me. I need to do more weights. But again, I didn't know how I was going to take to it. So we decided on a 3-month plan. Because even though I thought, wow, this is going to be great, I'm going to get the accountability factor in there, and I know that's going to work for me. But will I stick to it? Is it too much? I've got 2 young children. It's, 7 and 2. In fact, my daughter was 1 at the time. And my son was 6. So yeah, they were young, and I just thought, well, I better fit it in.
How did you find that? So talk about having a 1-year-old, maybe before, maybe in the 2022, like what was happening with your nutrition habits, your eating habits, exercise habits when you had a 1-year-old, and how you managed to then sort of fit what you thought wasn't possible into your day.
Well, the only exercise I did, honestly speaking, but when she was 1 year old, was just I did Pilates once a week. So I had a dance injury some time before, and I, started to see the importance of it, sort of strengthening my core. So I kept up with my Pilates all throughout pregnancy, post-pregnancy, Pilates, and and thereafter as well, which was really helpful. But I wasn't doing any sort of cardio, and I also was suffering a little bit with a mild prolapse, which quite bluntly caused incontinence with some forms of exercise and jumping around and other things, which was it's only now I'm able to talk about it, actually. But it was definitely something I didn't really talk about, or I just thought it's part and parcel of, post-pregnancy. So that was, sorry, I'm not even answering a question.
No, go on.
But I really felt like, I wasn't in a good place. And in terms of my eating habits, it was, yeah, whatever was easy sometimes. And even though I tried making good food choices, I've been brought up in an Indian household where there's a lot of Gujarati cooking. And, I always told mum to, use less oil and, shouldn't eat as much carbs and other things. But, we tried to make substitutes like cauliflower rice instead of like rice and other things. So we thought we were doing, everything we could. But I think my biggest issue was volume and portion sizes. Like, I live with a guy, if he didn't eat fast, he'd eat, right? Because he had a childhood habit of eating really fast, and he literally had to like stop himself from eating as fast. And I always was like, if I don't eat fast, I won't eat, right? So I kind of like was in tune. I don't know. I think I was just in tune with him, and I just started eating fast. I didn't realize when I was feeling like full. I was eating sometimes same portion sizes as him, and he's like, "You've seen Devin, 6'3", and big guy." Like, and yeah, I just I lost. Wasn't really in control, even though I thought I was eating very healthily. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, and at the time, you didn't really know, but it's all on reflection. This is coming to light.
At the time, I didn't really. I just, it was maybe just a business. It was just like motherhood and working and other things. Just when you get time to eat. I mean, I didn't even think that. It wasn't even a thought in my mind to think about, I might eat too much or like questioning it. I'm like, I've got time to fit it in. Let's just get this done and let's crack on with the day, because I've got to do this. I've got to work. I've got to drop my daughter to nursery. I've got to, whatever it is, pick her up, make her dinner, and my son's school pickup and dinner. And it was just busy. And I just thought I didn't have time. I just thought I didn't have time. And that's one big lesson I've learned now. Is make time. Just got to, work it out, plan. And I was telling you earlier before the call, I work as a business process analyst. I train users on how to work more efficiently, how to cut out waste from all their processes, and and here's me not practicing what I'm preaching. I'm doing everything by the book at work. Outside of work, I wasn't doing nearly enough of what I could have to, sort of like the batch cooking, for example. Like, always batch cook my kids' meals because they have such small portions. You think I'm just going to batch cook it. Just didn't do it for myself.
If you're able to share, can you talk a little bit more about the prolapse? Because I think there's a lot of new mothers who listen to this and may have had difficult pregnancies and recovery, but haven't been able to speak about it or keep whatever they've been struggling with within. And I'm sure there'll be a few that will be able to resonate with anything you can share of what happened, how it made you feel, what your recovery was, etc.
Well, I sort of lived with it since I had sort of like a milder cases when I was, had my son, where after I had my son, in year 7 now, I remember in dance classes, I do remember there's, where we'd warm up or do starter jumps and other things. I'd be like, I've got to be careful. I had to make sure I had an empty bladder, because when you have, one thing you don't get told, especially if you do these lot of wonderful classes and NCTs and other things, and they don't really talk about that element of it. So, it's been a little bit of an education even for myself to understand what it is. I didn't even know what it was actually at the time. I just thought.
Can you share what it is, just for the listeners? Yeah.
So you could have different levels of prolapses. Some which it's almost like your could be your bladder or your uterus, which almost like your muscles around it have relaxed so much when you're during childbirth that it can drop, and it can even protrude out of your opening, which means that you could feel like pressure down below. It means that you could trap urine on top, so you're not always fully emptying your bladder. So when you are exercising or jumping, then it can then move it about and then empty, causing sort of incontinence. So it's yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice, and you feel that pressure down. And some people get it worse than others. Some have need surgery because it's protruding out so much it can affect your sex life. And yeah, it's just it can be painful and uncomfortable. Can cause infections. So there's it can get really bad, and I'm thankful that I've got a mild prolapse, but it's something which even then, going through that grind, for example, I did 5 cardios a week. I had to really pick and choose what I was doing and what I wasn't doing. And at that point, I did not know, this was a prolapse. I just thought, because I've had kids, I just had a weakened sort of, I weakened pelvic floor, and I just need to do more pelvic floor exercise. And I thought I was doing them right. And it's only now, in the past, I'd say, month or so, that my GP, I said, I'm going private. And he said, let's have another. Oh yeah, it's a mild prolapse. And I said, well, I need to go private. I said, I'm going private. I need to get this seen, and I have done that now, and I'll be seeing a physiotherapist to work on my pelvic floor muscle. They kind of grade it between 0 and 5 on how 5 should be the strongest it is. And she basically said to me, doing all this exercise and everything and weight training, is you need to train your pelvic floor because you're about 1 out of 1. You're 1 out of 5, yeah. So.
And are you the start of that physio journey?
Right at the beginning, I'm I'm going to see the physiotherapist for this in 2 weeks, for my first session, proper session. So I just saw a urogynecologist, and yeah, she was really good. But I mean, it's again, if there's any issues that anyone has, they should get it seen to straight away. I mean, I didn't. I just thought it was part and parcel of just pregnancy, and it's just I just thought it'll get better by itself. I don't know what I was thinking. I just wasn't obviously.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing. I'm sure it'll help at least a few women who are listening to this. And we shift gears to Christmas of 2022. So you've seen this picture of yourself at your 40th. Surprised. And then you started your journey in January. Talk us through the initial couple of weeks and how you fit this into your life as a working mother of 2 young kids, before you had that potential limiting thinking of I don't have time to fit all this in. How did you organize your life to factor in steps, meal prepping, etc.?
Well, I just sort of I'm thankful to my husband for being him anyway, and he's obviously going through his journey. Doing it together, it's really good because we can understand each other and understand what demands we have on each other. So he's we'd just be planning this week, can you do the pickup? Can you do drop off? So simple things like that, on who's going to do the pickup, who's going to drop off, when are we going to fit in the cardios, when are we going to fit in the steps? But even simple things like picking my son up from school, instead of picking him up by car, which I would ordinarily have done, I would walk, pick him up, and make him walk back with me. So he'll be getting his steps in too. But my daughter, just take an empty buggy with me, pick her up from nursery and back. I might to cover the buggy up to make sure where's your child? But yeah, just things like that, just fitting in steps. My son, when he went swimming, had swimming classes, there was a gym and there's a window they can actually see out to the swim lane. So instead of just sitting there on the side there, I'd watch him while I'm doing steps on the treadmill. And I'm it's just finding any opportunity like that is to get my steps in. And then it was just early morning rises. I'll wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm still waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing my weight training at home. Sometimes my daughter still joins me when she climbs out of her cot. But just the me time off actually weight training, great. I mean, it's quieter at 5. My husband's also up doing his weight training on some of the days that I'm doing it. Initially, we started off saying, you do this day, I do that day. And then we just got a second bench. We just thought, well, we'll just buy another bench. We'll buy another set of weights. Perfect. We limit ourselves to say, oh yeah, we only got, initially we were like, all right, what day are you going to do? What day are we going to do? And when are we going to fit it in? And then, I mean, it just struck us one day. Why don't we just get another bench, another
genius idea?
I mean, but this is it. Like, there are such simple things you can do to, you just need to just sort of focus and just want to do it as well. It's just the one, you find a way. That's what they say, isn't it? Like, where there's a will, there's a way, and there's so much truth in that.
What did the planning sessions look like with Devin on, like, who's doing the drop-offs, who's doing the cardio, who's doing the meal prepping? Like, how did that, was that just something you set at the beginning and is running like clockwork, or is it a weekly cadence? Or
mostly it's like clockwork, but there's times where, he'll be like, oh no, I've got, a client breakfast or, something like that he's got to go to. So then, you can't do the drop off that day. And then I'd be like, right, okay. So, and I've also got I've got quite a sort of, I've got core hours, but I'm doing other hours on top as well. So I need to plan when I'll get my work hours in too. So, when my husband would do the pickups and drop offs on a Wednesday, sometimes I'd be like, if he has to go into the office or to have meetings, then I'll make up my work time on other days, where I can fit it in. And I'm like, well, if you can't do it Wednesday, then what day can you do it? So, initially it was like, don't give me a problem, give me a solution. If you can't do it, tell me when you're going to fit it in, kind of thing. And you just work around everything. So just slot it in. We've got a shared calendar, on our phone. That is brilliant, by the way, shared calendar. So it's sort of like, before it was like, who's going to get that Friday evening slot to go out with our mates or do whatever we want to do. And now it's sort of like taking a slot to actually do our workouts.
Nice. Do you guys eat the same foods in different amounts, or do you guys cook different things?
So our breakfast, we have the same breakfast, which is omelette, but we just prep our vegetables and everything separately. So each time we're kind of cooking our omelette, for example, in the morning, whilst it's cooking, we'll be prepping the vegetables for the next day's breakfast. And whilst one person's doing their own, they've got time, they'll do the others as well. Lunch we do differently. He eats meat. I'm a vegetarian, so he has chicken, rice, and vegetables, and I kind of like, I like variety, but at the moment I'm having quinoa with feta, with vegetables. But we have the same dinner, so I batch cook those. So it's either urad dal, and we'll both have that, or I'll do saag paneer, and I'll batch cook lots of saag, and I've literally see me in Tesco with these spinach. People are like, what are you doing with all this spinach? But I get like 2 kilos of spinach, and then just it's because it's 150 grams of vegetable allowance, so we'll have that each for the whole week. And then my kids will also want to eat that too. So it's great because they like eating what we're eating. So it makes it a lot easier.
Amazing. And so they eat all the dinners with you as well?
They do, but they obviously, for them, because when I batch cook any dish, I'm making more. So then they've got variety coming out of the freezer. Like, I would put half of it in the fridge, another half in the freezer. And to give them we have our spicier than theirs. And I make it to like our taste. So that's the best thing about the R&T is like making your own recipe plans and everything else. The kids will have a bit more variety. So they'll have, pasta and other things. But I mean, even with pasta, like I'd batch cook the pasta sauce for them. And I'm using like fava bean pasta shells now for them because I'm a bit more conscious about where's their protein. Because at home, I only cook vegetarian. So Devin actually meal preps his chicken. He does that himself. And, the air fryer is amazing. So I'm air frying quite a lot.
How have you taken to strength training? Because this is the first time you've done any weight training this year. How have you found embracing strength training?
I've loved it. I mean,
really?
I've loved it. And I genuinely had no idea how to take to it. And I just saw the weights and I'm like, I'm never going to, because we've got the weights where you kind of slot them in and you can just adjust the weight on the sides. And I thought, this goes up all the way to 24 kilograms. I'm never going to get there for any of them or any of the weights, But I am reaching, personal bests in my exercises. Every week there's at least one of the exercises I'm getting a new PB on, and it's just kind of like really feels really good. And that sort of thing really drives me, beating myself, I'm progressing and just seeing my body change. And it's a great feeling.
And why did you never do it before?
I don't know. I always thought if I want to lose a bit of weight or want to, look fitter, I just need to do some cardio. I just didn't even think of weights. I just didn't.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't know. But not very well educated in sort of fitness and that sort of thing. So I just didn't know. And that is what, big takeaway from the RMT process is, it's weight, with all it's really important to do cardio, but it's also important to do the weight training. I knew when I hit 40, I know it's important for bone density, but I just didn't think it would help me sort of shape my body.
Yeah. Okay, so you kickstarted in January, found your routine together, and then fast forward a couple of months, you decided to book in a photo shoot. Where did the idea for a photo shoot come in? What made you want to do it? And then we can talk about the grind.
So I knew that was, could be part of the process that you'd want to do a photo shoot. It was a choice. And at first I wasn't really sure I wanted to do a photo shoot. I just thought, this is I'd hit that 3 months mark at first, and I was still skeptical at the 3 months. And then I thought, do I really want to start for a year? I've already got some weight loss. I feel good. I looking better. I can do this by myself. I can do it. And then I was like, I don't think I can do it. I really was enjoying it too much. And I was like, no, I'm going to sign up for the year because I had just kind of kept giving myself these sort of new goals and stuff. But I just thought it would be a really good way of sort of marking my progress. And I know that was supposed to be the shape of my life and not shape for life. So I kind of know that it's going to take a lot of work to get there. And why not? It'll be something I can keep. I can put it up in my bedroom just for me to see and for me to feel like, I can do this, wake up in the morning and I can do this. I still need to get those photos back, and then I'm going to do that. I haven't put them up yet, but I just thought it'd be quite good to see it and just be like, right, let's go in the morning. Let's get my training done. Let's get my steps in, just kind of like an extra motivating factor, really.
And how did you find the process of going from lost a bit of weight, I feel better, to let me push myself, to how far can I go with this in the process phase, building up to checkpoint? So describe that period of your journey.
Well, I did. There was still some things I've never been able to do and I'd like to do, and I mean they're still on my list and something I've talked about with my amazing coach Alice. It's like I want to be able to do like a chin up. I want to be able to do a push up. I'm like I want to be able to go for a run. I've never run. I've never gone running, and there's things I want to do, and I thought, well, I need the expert coaching and help. I clearly don't know what I'm doing because I've not been doing it. So that kind of well, I want to continue this journey. I want to see how far I can go and if I can reach those goals as well. And it's a lifestyle change, and it's helped me mentally as well. Sort of focus and just give myself a bit of priority, having some me time as well.
What did you learn about yourself in that preparation for the photo shoot when you were in the grind phase?
That whenever you think you don't have enough time, you do have time. You do have that bit more time to do. I didn't even think I could do 2 cardios and 3 weights in the beginning. And here I am doing 8 workouts a week, fitting it in around 2 kids, work, with, all the family and social commitments. And I was doing it. I was doing, sign up to the gym because I was like, I can't just do, because I did Zumba, I was doing pound, and I thought, I've got to do 3 more cardios. What am I going to do? And I was like, you need to do something like rowing or the stepping machine or whatever, like something, because I was doing HIIT at home as well. And I was like, there's only so much HIIT you can do as well. And I was like, and I started joining the gym. So that was like new for me as well. Like, and I was kind of a little bit timid when I first walked in. Everything looked a little bit alien. And then, now I'm like, just go there, do my thing, get out. No one cares what you're doing. Just go do your thing. And so does answer the question.
Yeah. Talk about the social occasions and navigating eating out, drinks. That's a big blocker for a lot of people. I think they think, how am I going to navigate my social life if I go on this journey? How have you found it? And what have you done that's helped?
So, initially I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Like, so they've put food on, especially when you go to a family house and, it's hard enough they're making things that you really like as well, that you've kind of grown up with, and you're like, part of you wants to eat that stuff, and then you've got someone actually trying to throw it like onto you, like eat, and then but I was like, I'm working so hard, I'm not going to let anything spoil this, and I was like, and I really enjoyed my food that I made for myself. I'll take my food with me. And at first, it was more difficult for other people than myself, really, to understand. Well, I was like, I'm not trying to insult your cooking or what you're doing. This is just something that I'm doing, and just having to explain, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it. And, it's working, and, I'm happy. And, I'll just be there, and I'll just be like, well, my kids are going to eat everything. They're happy. But Devin and I will be there with our Tupperware, and we'll just have our food. It was quite nice, actually. Control, sort of, when you fancy eating, your food is ready. You can just eat it. You don't have to wait for everyone else, waiting for the food to be. So that's always nice.
And what would you say to them? What were you saying?
Well, I'll say to them, keep off, because most of them are hovering around saying, that looks nice. That doesn't look like a diet food. Because it didn't look like diet food, because there were good portions. And there was healthy stuff. And I love cooking. Since I was young, my mum taught me to cook. So I love cooking. So I spiced everything well, and everything else. And people look at me like, oh, that smells good, or that looks good. So I kind of I didn't feel like I was missing out. It was more like, I'm not eating what they're eating, kind of like I'm not eating, having like a barbecue, for example, and things like that. And there's other times where I'd be like, right, I'll find out what they're making, and actually it could work. Like I went to a barbecue, and I had on 1 week I had when I was going through some changes in my plan, had Beyond Burger as part of the plan. So I said, oh, do you mind if I bring it with me and stick it on the barbecue? So I kind of felt like I was being, sort of included as well. And they had salad available and other things. So it was, I didn't mind taking my own food, and I didn't, and for them it was sort of a bit more sort of like getting them used to it and understanding. Now they've got used to me now. Like they'll ask me, oh, are you bringing your food? I'm making this. Shall I make sure there's extra for you, or are you bringing something, or, and, they're trying to accommodate, saying, oh, there'll be salad or there'll be this. And I'm like, well, which is really nice and kind. So they've all been, really good. Well,
you're very bold, because a lot of people struggle with that, and to do it that early on in your journey is amazing. I think that's fantastic, and many people struggle with worrying about what other people are going to think, so it holds them back from their journey because they don't take charge of that social element. So fair play to you. What advice would you give to people on that specific note?
What advice? I mean, people just come round. People just get used to it. Like, it shouldn't block you. Like, this is about you. This is about making a change for yourself, and you're going to be thankful for it at the end. You're going to see the gains, and you're going to see the changes in those foods. They're not going away anywhere. I mean, you can always have those foods later on, make them as part of your plan, but initially, I mean, people just will get used to it. It's just, you just do it. It's just like, yeah, and make people aware of it as well. So you don't want to turn up and someone's made the effort of cooking for you and you're bringing your own food. It's like, make them aware, by the way, I'm going to be bringing my food, and this is why. And as long as they're aware, most people are quite good. Going to restaurants was a bit more of a challenge, because then I wouldn't take my own food, but then I'd be like, right, Alice, this is the menu for the restaurant. What am I going to eat, right? And then she'll give me some suggestions and stuff, and I'll be like, what about this? Yeah, but that's got too much fat content. You don't know how, it's got cream, don't have cream in it or whatever. And you're like, oh, I really fancied that. And like, oh, okay. So it would sometimes be harder when you go to a restaurant, actually. I'd much prefer going to someone's house and taking my own food, because I know what I'm having. Because a lot of the times I'll go to a restaurant and have a safe option and I won't feel satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied if I had my own food. So then
the volume's not high enough, is it?
The volume's not high enough. And I wouldn't enjoy it as much sometimes as well, because I'm like, I flavour it the way I like it, and I'll just be like, oh, it'd be nice if I had a bit of that, or I'll ask them, can you do this but not do that, or can you add that instead? And by that time, you're like, hopefully you don't end up with like some spit in your food when you get back for being too picky. But I started doing more sort of activities with friends and eating out, and that's been good. Like, doing like the O2 climb I did with my cousins, and so, initially they're like, oh, let's go out to eat. We're like, all right, let's probably do activity, and just kind of, volunteering to organise events and get-togethers, and that way I can choose where we go, or what we do, or what we eat as well.
Amazing. So Daksha, you're about 9 months into your journey, coming up to 10. How has the physical been the vehicle for you so far?
Yes, very question. So I'd say I'm a lot more confident now, and it's appearance, but it's also mentally as well. I feel a lot more confident in myself. It's nice not to think about, put some clothes on, how am I going to look and stuff, and not take that worry out of my head. That's one less thing I need to think about. A bit more headspace, a bit more headspace. I don't need to, that's one less thing to think about. And the other is, I'd say, just having that drive and motivation now, applying that to everything I do. I think it's like a career. I'm managing my time a lot better in my day. I think I shouldn't stop myself. Like, if I think, okay, I want to do this, and now I think, oh, I'll just start the journey and see how I get on. I'm going to feel a bit more confident now to do that. I wouldn't have felt confident before, like, say, going to the gym or doing weights. There's things like, and running has been one of them. So that's like one of the things I've got as a goal, because I think it just needs something that you just need to start doing. So I think that's been, I think my physical has helped me in that aspect, where I'm like, if I want to do something, just start it, go for it, and not be a blocker for myself. Don't create any blockers mentally.
Amazing. The physical is a vehicle to do things you never thought possible. How's it impacted your family beyond Devin, but more the kids?
Kids are amazing. I like my son, for his birthday in June, he wanted a Fitbit because I wanted to count steps as well. Because Devin and I was like, how many are you on? So like, didn't allow each other time to go out. So we'd like,
what's the join the crew?
So we kind of, he wanted to join the group, exactly. So he'd be like, oh, I want to know. So he goes, oh, you want to Fitbit? I'm like, you know what? Great. I know what to get for his birthday. Makes it easy for me. Got him a Fitbit. It's always like, oh, this is, Mom, I've done 8,000, or I've done this many thousand. I'm like, that's amazing. So he's really, he's always asking. He's now also a bit more nutritionally aware on, like, composed. I'm always saying, right, what's going to be your protein in there? What is your protein? Or, what is your carbs? And he needs fats, being young as well. So just helping him identify those sort of food groups and stuff. So that's been a real sort of learning thing for him as well. And my daughter, she loves, like, when I'm doing weights, she's got like a small, tiny pair of little kiddie dumbbells. So she'll be next to me, try and do them as well. She was trying to do like the hip thrusts and stuff with them.
Oh, wow.
Put a little cushion underneath, and she's trying to do the hip thrusts, like absolutely adorable. She's 2 years old and she's just trying to do hip thrusts. I'm like, it's amazing. I think when I look at them, all the times I think where I've had to juggle my time with Devin, so we can both get out of the house and do steps and get out of the house and do exercise, other things. You kind of always have that mum guilt, like, oh my God, like, my daughter's crying out for me as I'm shutting the front door. And I, especially during the grind where it was so intense that I felt so guilty. But seeing them do those sort of things like exercising or, choosing, healthier foods, like the day after my son's birthday, I said, oh, do you want the leftover cake? And he goes, no, Mummy, can I have some fruit salad? And I'm like, yeah, all right. Yes, you can. I mean, my daughter's doing the chocolate cake, but I was like, that's amazing. I'm like giving him a choice of that. And it just makes you feel really proud. You just kind of feel like, I'm a good example now to my kids because, I can't remember who said this from what I was listening to, like this sort of parenting Instagram accounts and stuff. Someone said, kids are not very good at listening, but they're very good at imitating and copying. So, and I thought that really stuck. And I'm like, it's true. Like, if I'm not going to be doing it, they're not going to be doing it. I can't just give them words. I've got to show them. Be an example.
Was that ever a motivation coming in, or has that become a motivation when you've seen these sorts of things happen?
I'd say kind of like, I suppose you always think that you want to be a good example to them. But again, it's something that you say to yourself, you think you're doing everything you can. But now actually seeing the results of actually, doing this, and I thought that actually, you can always be doing more, right? You can always be doing more. You can always, I wouldn't do anything, that I wouldn't want them to do. I wouldn't be doing that in front of them. But there's things like, when I was snacking and other things, like I didn't think I was doing anything really awful. I thought, kids, this is their time. If they don't do it, when they're not going to have it now, when they're going to have it. But it's about just giving them those sort of choices, and then showing them that, I'm making different choices and I'm enjoying them. And then they can make that decision and they know that, it's not like I was saying in one of my groups at the moment, the Christmas build and tone group was like, I took my son, he could have had any treats he wanted. And two of the first things he chose was an Actimel and like a fruit smoothie, as opposed to going for like, loads of like crisps and chocolates and stuff. Yeah, he had a cookie as well. But I was like, well, yeah, he deserves it. It's just been a school all day, gone karate. Now he could have chosen whatever snack he wanted. He's making good choices for himself. So yeah, I think it's good to give a choice, but it's good to sort of show them you can still enjoy life. You can still do anything you want to do, and be healthy with it.
Amazing. I'm excited to see my daughter carrying those little dumbbells.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
How heavy are they?
Do you know, I don't even remember. I bought them on Amazon. I was like, kids weight. And I actually bought them for my son because he would do it. But she's carrying them. They're like tiny little dumbbells. But I don't even know how they are, but they're quite light. But, for a little one. Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, we're not expecting to lift 20 kilos.
Yeah, they're tiny. I don't know, probably 0.25, or I don't know what they are.
Yeah, no, brilliant. They're great ideas. What almost kept you from starting? I know you mentioned a few different things, but what almost kept you from starting your journey?
I'd say just me thinking I didn't have the time. I mean, I think that was probably the biggest thing, like fitting it around kids and my life, really. And also I went to, make sure it wasn't like I was just joining like a fad diet thing, and it's going to be something which I'll do. It's going to make gains in the short term, and there's then once the plan's ended, what do I do now? And I feel I could go, I'll sort of revert back to old ways and that sort of thing. But the fact that it was a year minimum. Really, that kind of felt to me, something, if you sustain it for that long, it becomes a lifestyle change as well. And, it wasn't about just getting to a checkpoint and that's it. There was what's after that. The hard bit comes afterwards. And yes, it is. And I'm that point right now where I'm consolidating. And you kind of feel like, you don't have that drive or a photo shoot or anything else, keeping yourself motivated. And the fact that I'm doing it, just, it's just credit to like the coaches and the learning platform, because without the education, it's not going to stick, and always having other goals and other motivating and driving factors are really important. So it's just sort of, and when you explain to people, it feels like it's not rocket science, but it's so like when you're sort of living life, you just don't keep up with things, and you don't know how to live life without, being influenced, and letting other things come in the way. And I think what it's really taught me is like, you can always do a bit more, you can always push a little bit harder. I think having a goal in sight, a new goal each time as well is really important, especially if you're sort of focused in that way and you're kind of like driven in that way. I think it's,
So going into your second year coming up, your goal is a chin up and to start running. Is that correct?
Running, I want to do push-ups as well without knees.
Push-ups, pull-ups, and
I can do
runs.
one now. I'm going to keep going. Like send a video of just doing that one to Alice, just to show. Ed was covering for Alice last week, and it's like, it was good form, but that's where you start. And but it's just, that's one more than I did last year. So
the first one's always the hardest one.
Yeah, there we go.
You've never done it. After that, it's a breeze.
We'll see. But I'm going to keep going, and obviously working on my pelvic floor muscles. That's like, I have to do that, like just with all the other muscle groups I'm doing, that's going to be an additional one that I'll have to start doing, and just keep going, to getting my PPs on my weight, and just have a lean physique. That's what I want. And longevity and health, really, either
Fantastic.
For my kids.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's starting their journey right now? The one piece of advice you can give them?
One piece of advice: just start, just start, and it will all start making sense. Just watch the educational videos. You've got so much free content on your site, but also just read up, listen to some podcasts. These are all real people. Just listen to them, listen to their journeys. There will be a podcast on someone you can really relate to, and then just sign up to RNT and just make that life. It's going to change your life. Just sign up to RNT. You've got all the education, you've got all the coaches to help you with not just training but all the nutrition. You end up having you get put into a cohort with people in the same boat as you, which you can feed off each other. It's great. We even got a WhatsApp group.
Amazing.
Cohort, so it's lovely.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for being honest in your journey, Daksha. I'm excited to see those chin-ups, push-ups, and 5Ks then.
On its way. Going to do it.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Akash. Honestly, I'm so glad Devin's in my life to actually have said, come on, let's do this. But thank God to you for just developing this program. Because without it, I don't know, I'll just be on this downward spiral. And I'm so glad. I feel like I'm feeling fitter than I ever have in my whole life. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing.